Yeah.
It ain't much. And I come across a bobcat in someone's like farm backyard, and they have built dirt jumps, like full on.
A tractor out there.
They had like one of those little bobcats, and they built like there's a berm, there's a tabletop, and there's about 6 different like doubles. Big ones, like 10-foot jumps, dude. I don't know if it's a motocross bike or a BMX bike, but I'm gonna turn into like a 12-year-old and go stalk their backyard. You know what I mean? Like just hang out until I see someone back there.
Right on.
You gonna go? Were they building doubles out there, digging a pit and then piling it up, making?
No, dude, they drop dirt back there, and then they have the bobcat to tamp it down. You know what I mean? It's like a little mini bulldozer. So I mean, dude, they're doing it right. This ain't like kid style, man. What's up, everybody? It's your friend Isaac, and today I'm here with my homie Craig. What's up, Craig?
Yo, what's going on, man? You know,
you've got somebody extra in your house today, and that's not a Zoom background. That is,
man. Let me tell you who I got here, ladies and gentlemen. It's SE's own SE crew rider, Matt Rickard.
What up, everybody?
Dude, you know what's funny, Matt? Like, remember the first time we interviewed you? Like, so you guys. What you don't know behind the scenes, like Craig and Matt have been messing with the like green screen background and like messing with our hats and our mic and our setup. And dude, the first time we interviewed Matt Rickard, bro, like we barely had any kind of like YouTube, like we had nothing. Like we didn't have a pro mic. I think you were using like a wired headset mic. I think for sure I was like.
Dude, I was using the mic out of my USB. You had a mic from like your.
He didn't have a mic. He just had his iPad.
I had just my phone out, dude. It was just a phone.
Yeah.
And now that we have this, professional staff, we have a sound crew, makeup, producers, executives. I mean, professional background.
Limo drive here. It was great. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. We have arrived, Matt.
We
have arrived. Dude, I think it's hilarious that like. Just to see like the things we would have, the things we put up with before, and now what we're like, oh, I gotta turn my hat different. And I'm over here like worrying about my lighting and stuff like that, dude. Before it was like the sun
just
went down.
Out.
Yeah, the sun went down in our interview, and it like my whole room was dark. Like, dude, hilarious. But anyway, dude, it's good to see you, Matt.
Craig, yeah, absolutely.
As always, Craig, we're matching today. I've got the JT jersey on. You got the JT.
Hey, man. Yeah, it's looking pretty proper, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all jerseyed out.
I mean, I got a jersey, but I don't know. SE Bike sent me this one, so I figured, I better rep them, dude. They've been supporting me pretty hard lately.
Hey, and thank you for hanging out with us for the SE crew when you got your new bike, man. How's the new bike going?
Oh, the new bike's beautiful. I brought it inside so Craig could check out the dropout stamp. We checked out the gusset at the rear end, which is actually a cup. It's all one piece. It's got a 3616. It's a little bit taller gear than it had before by like half a tooth. And, dude, it rides like a brand new bike.
That's great, man. How's the bottom bracket, the American bottom bracket?
Craig, what do you think about that?
Man, let me tell you, first of all, Isaac, I've got that brand new bike in my garage right now.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Matt, it's dark in the garage when he leaves, and I could just roll any bike towards him and hide that one in the back. It's awesome. It's amazing. I mean, yeah, looking at it online is incredible, and watching the guys ride it, during the SE Hoedown when they unveiled it was incredible. But in person, dude, it's got another level to it. Matt was pointing out all those details he was just mentioning, and I was looking over it. Just an all around phenomenal bike, dude. I mean.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Well, so the reason we have Mr. Matt Rickard here today is because I have been bugging him to give me some wheelie tips for quite a while. Because it's if you've watched the show or you've looked at my Instagram at Big Bike BMX on Instagram, I am there's no, I don't want to say I'm no stranger to you because that's not the right way to, like, everybody knows I'm a big fan of Matt Rickard and Matt Rickard's wheelie ability.
Thank you.
Dude, like you're like, whether it's a manual going 35 miles an hour down a mountain.
Dude, you know what? It's like it's almost like if we were gonna have anybody do a wheelie critique, video review and all that. I mean, who better else than Matt Rickard? The guy is. You just said it. He's crazy on the bike. Matt does things that most people like only dream about doing. I mean, those manuals, Matt is insane with those. Matt, I ride with Matt, dude, and we were talking about it just about an hour ago. When Matt's on a wheelie, try to keep up with him. The dude is lightning fast. It's pretty incredible.
That new bike's got a little taller gear, and dude, I'm not real good because it's got shorter bars and it's a new bike, but I can keep the wheel up for a while, and I did just that. You get up on one wheel, you got half the resistance, and that thing, it's fast. It's scary fast. And those Bozak tires, let me tell you something, dude. These things are going to be available soon to the public. Everybody's going to want their hands on them. They remind me of the old Snake Bellies when I was growing up. They tons of flavors, SE all over them. They're gum wall, so I was kind of worried about the swervability. Stockton last weekend, I just posted on my Instagram about it. Someone stopped abruptly in front of me, and I had to swerve. I had no choice, and it had no problem. The bike, it just, I naturally ripped it like I normally would, and the Bozaks responded just like a hookworm. So I think they're going to be a fun alternative to where we can build these things in different colorways. These things hopefully are inexpensive, and they're just going to be everywhere, dude.
Yeah. So are you running yours? What tire pressure are you running them at? Do you run them lighter or lower or higher?
55 to 65. I've been running about 40, and they're great. The rubber's kind of soft, so they're cushy. It has that kind of feels like the Monster Quad or the Monster Ripper. Oh, you didn't get riding with us, sorry. Or the Monster Ripper, but
Burn.
It's real cushiony. That came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But it's got this, the hookworm's a lot more firm, and I think as performance-wise, you probably get a little more bite out of them. But for most people, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great product. So those Bozak tires, keep your eye out for them. All the new bikes are equipped with them, and I'm cherishing mine. They're a ton of fun to ride.
Well, right on, man. Okay, so for me, like you're how tall? You're 6'5", right?
Yeah. When I
you're tall. You want to stand up? You're
Matt's on fire tonight, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like he's over here just ripping one-liners.
Are you guys ready for Matt Rickard, dude? He is on fire.
So 6'5". I mean that I wouldn't say it makes it harder to wheelie, but it's definitely like it's a challenge. I think you have to work different angles and things like that on these.
No, and I guess the best analogy would say I can't really watch D blocks and learn a lot of moves from him. I can learn about bike position and body position, but he's so in close to the bike, and he's right there with the bike. The bike's further away from me, and I have to I think it's more calculated and more technique, and thankfully I'm 45 years old and I've been on bicycles. I sent you and Craig a picture. Hopefully we can pop that thing up on the screen. I've been saving that one for a long time. My parents always kept me on bikes, and they always encouraged me to. My dad's like, "Pop a wheelie, I'll take a picture." I slid off the back, but we still got the photo. And they've always encouraged me to, pursue my goals. If it's something I'm really into and they see it, they're going to ask questions. They're going to, like a good sponsor would. They want to be involved with what's going on. And still to this day, my parents are probably my number one fans. I always tell them about the stuff I got going on. I don't make major life decisions without running it by them because I'm not always right. Sometimes I want to go do something really stupid on my bike, and my dad's like, no. Like going to the bike track. It's not like an option for me. Like, I'm going to go to the bike track. I'll see you guys later. They're like, no, you can go ride, but don't go to the track. So riding with the crew at Ukaipa BMX track was I know how to ride the tracks. I've spent 8 years out there with my son, coaching him, watching the other kids. And it was fun to go out there with my team, wear this SE blue, and everybody went out there and had fun.
That's cool, man. I'm gonna show the picture right now. So there's young Matt.
That's got to be like 1982. It's old Schwinn. I don't know. It's the Schwinn Predators I could find from the early 80s. The stickers were in different places, but my dad said it was the cheapest bike he could go get. And
I love it.
Pop it back up there, Isaac. Let's see it one more time.
So I mean, this is 80s. Yeah. I mean, look at the shorts.
Let me see if I can save it and put it up on the screen. Hold on one sec. Keep talking.
Yeah. And so my parents always had me on bikes. My earliest wheelie, I lost my little fingernail. I don't know if you can see the difference there. This one's flat across. I lost
for sure.
a chunk of meat. 5 years old, I looped out down a curb on a bike with no brakes, just riding a wheelie, went down the curb, and it looped out. It's like a 16-inch, screaming with my little fingernail hanging off. And, you know, I was hooked at 5 years old on wanting to master the wheelie. So, you know, over time, my parents always had me bikes. They were always getting me bikes. We always had jumps in the neighborhood. Everybody's, you know, we rode stand-up wheelies. Nobody really sat down and had control or anything, but we had the concept of what it was. We knew that when you pulled back, when you jumped, it helped. We knew how the bikes worked. And, you know, everybody's skill set's a little different. You had jumpers like we have now. You got Jacob Santos, who, mind you, he rides a great wheelie. I rode with him down at the Hoedown. Jacob's wheelies are just fine, but when it comes to jumping, he excels greatly there. So everybody has their own little skill set, and that was part of the fun riding with the crew. Is everybody did their own. You got Ball Out, you got Dell, you got Rye, you got One Way Jason. You had all these guys just doing their normal thing, and everybody feeding off each other. So I feel like I got a lot to learn on my wheelies. Oh, and there I am.
There it is.
Pow. That's like 19. I mean, I got flip-flops on and some little jogging shorts, but that's definitely a Schwinn. My dad bought that for me, so I had something to ride. You know, I could imagine how many flat tires I came home with. I don't even remember, but
it's dope, dude.
Yeah, I like that reflector in there.
Yeah, the reflectors, that's solid gold. And
they were digging through a bunch of. I'm 45. My parents they're 70 now, and they have all these pictures, 35 millimeter photographs, and they categorize them all. And so yeah, we got pictures of me from back then. So I always had a bike in my life. We were always trying to do the most. We're always trying to ride the bigger kids' bikes. Like a kid had a 10 speed, you had a 20-inch, you wanted to, and then you put him on your bike and you try to race him. But we were always trying to, you know, do the most we could on these bikes. And the older kids, of course, they were riding wheelies. I remember kids in the neighborhood, they had the Skyway mags. They were riding one-handed wheelies. This is in the Hutch Freestyler days. I don't know. It must have been late 80s because I started collecting baseball cards like 88, 89. So it's the previous years before that. Nintendo had just come out. And
oh, for sure, dude.
Yeah. Haro Freestyler had come out. I remember my kid down the street had it. We didn't. He just had it.
Well, that's a good point, too. Like, Isaac, I mean, riding back in those days, like when you and I started, Matt, obviously around the same time, wheelies were, they were part of the game. They were fun to do. But it seemed like, everyone could wheelie, and it just was kind of like, okay, you got the wheel up and here we are, we're going to go jump something now, or, turned into freestyle. But, everybody wheelied and everybody, jump things. And then you got into more trick stuff, and it never has left the sport. It's like, obviously now such a prominent staple of what we do on bikes. It's almost like the ollie is to skateboarding, it's like,
true.
It starts everything out.
Bunny hop in the wheelie. Yeah.
But here's the difference, dude. In my neighborhood, there were people like, you'd see like someone pop a wheelie. You might see someone do like a stand-up wheelie. For like two or three, like 1, 2, 3, and then it was down. But it was like an elite trick, you know what I mean? Like people could do endos, and you'd see the flatland guys, but like not everyone could ride like long wheelies where it was a controlled long wheelie.
Right.
It was almost like a God mode trick, you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, that like it was a neighborhood.
Yes.
It was like that made you a little bit extra, like a little bit more special in your neighborhood if you could like ride a wheelie around the block.
Tony Rose was one of them for me. There's these kids we were growing up with, Alec Rasmussen, even recently in the last 5 years, this kid, before I had a 29er, we used to have these wheelie offs. We call it. We just rode wheelies straight. And and you talked about the speed. Once one of us, there'd be a bunch of us, and once the tires would drop, whoever was in the lead, Alec would ride to where you couldn't even yell or whistle, and he's just still going, which today we call it blocks.
Right.
And actually, when I bought my big ripper, I took it to his house and I was like, you want to wheel it? That dude, he threw it up. He even rides left-hand brake, but he was able to throw the ripper up. And, so, but it's practice. And a lot of us older guys, we rode wheelies. We have the fundamentals. So when we're riding, we want to pop that wheelie.
Yep.
But it's like me when I get on a skateboard. I'm older now. I'm top heavy. I don't keep the skateboard under me as well as I used to. So the bicycle has the same problem of staying underneath you. So the way to fix that is just practice and set small goals. You want to pop the wheel up and you want your feet to go around a couple times. You want to pop the wheel up and touch the brake, or maybe even pop the wheel up and not touch the brake. Because I think D-Blocks, I think he rode bikes with no brakes. I think that's how he learned how to get that technical. He rides the balance point. I learned that with the crew is I'm heavy on the brakes. I like to lean back. I like to be at the back side of the wedge, which is the balance point. Mm-hmm. These kids, one wheel Frank, he's doing this shit on the bike. Dude, it's not, when you see it, you don't perceive, what's going to happen. The bike's going to go flipping out, and no, he throws his arms up. Ball Out was doing the same thing on the fast ripper. Those kids, if they each could have had a fast ripper, they would have been really happy.
So let's talk about like the fundamentals of wheelies, because the whole point of this, like, this is what we're talking about tonight, is just wheelies, and so we've kind of established like it is a God mode trick. It's probably the funnest thing that we can do as grown-ups on these big 29ers. Jumping, wheelies, skidding. It's one of the things that's just fun, and it is one of those things where you can. It's a flex move. It's like a flex trick a little bit, like where you're like, at least for me, dude, where I'm like, yeah, man, I look like your dad, but I'll wheelie farther than you can. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things.
That's our goal tonight, is to get people to get that, not that big flex, but we're going to give them that little bit of flex. Yeah. Where when they're out there, they can go, doink, doink, and their biceps pop a little bit. They're not getting the full suns out, guns out, but that little tiny bit of bicep flex is going to give them confidence. They're going to build off it, and eventually, if they spend enough of their own time investing in themselves on their bikes, they're going to have this thing down. And I've seen it time after time where the people put in the work. It's time on the bike, and there's phases. We can talk about them.
Yeah.
Okay. In the beginning, I'm left-handed, but most people are right-handed. So you're going to push down with your right foot, and you're going to pull back evenly with both hands.
Yep.
And until you can do that comfortably, where the front tire's coming up, and you feel like when it's going to come back down, you just work on that. And then as it's coming up, you want to cover the brake. It's like when you're rolling to a stop sign. You have your foot off the gas pedal, you're over on the brake. You're pressing the brake down easily, and then as you get to the stop, as you get more to the falling point, you're squeezing more and more, just like you're applying more brake pressure as you get to the stop sign. Yep. And I like to play that. I tease that one a lot. I ride where I'm fading back a lot. Now I need to start learning how to stay upright a little bit better with my posture and stay at the balance point, so that I have more energy. I don't get tired as fast if I can ride just the balance point. Yep. But you always have to cover the brake. I use 2 fingers on the brake, which means I only grip the grip with 3 fingers or 2 fingers and a thumb. Mm-hmm. But it's just what I've always done. Some people are 1 finger. I can't. I weigh 200 pounds. I'm 6'5". I want to fall off the bike a lot, so I need a lot of brake squeeze there.
What are you, Craig? You 1 finger, 2 finger?
You know what? When I'm drying and stuff, like I'm 2 finger on the. I do the same as Matt. I use 2 fingers and my thumb. I'd like to be 1 finger if I can, though, because I got more.
This grip, it's almost as like I challenge myself. 3 fingers grips too much.
Right.
You just scoot your lever in towards the handlebar more, and you can get that 1 finger all the way out the outside to pull all the way down. Yeah. I just know for me, when I do that, the brakes don't squeeze. On
the fat quad, on my fat quad, my lever is out a little bit further. So I use 2 fingers because I get longer reach with the middle finger. But on my cable brakes, my brake levers seem to be a little bit closer to the handlebar grip. So 1 finger's, I like to have more meat around the
hydros are good. I think 1 finger on a hydro is good because you're going to get the same amount of bite.
Yeah. So on my big ripper, definitely 2 fingers. 1 finger's not enough because I'll fall off. But on my PK with hydraulics, it's definitely one finger. And it's
how tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
So 200 pounds?
Yeah, like right now I'm about 225. Thanks COVID.
You get on your bike more.
No shit, dude. Seriously. When I kicked in, dude, like when I started this, I think I was like $190. And I just like two things happened: COVID and Arizona summer. So
don't go.
You're not. Hey, but you know what? One of the things I want to bring up before we get into the real mechanics is, you know, I was injured a year and a half ago on a ride out. I blew out 2 main tendons in my knee. Right. Getting back on the bike without the injury, being able to pedal has only been the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 months for me. There's also a mental component to this because I've been practicing my wheelies almost every day, if not every other day. I'm out there. And for me, it's a mental game too. One, I get my bike up and I've shared this with you guys before. I've looped out in front of my house. I've looped out at the park. I'm trying to get it to where I'm powering with one leg instead of, of really being balanced. And for me, it's a mental game. So I think for the guys, or not even guys, but the folks watching this tonight, is like Matt was saying, you got to get up into a certain point where you feel comfortable. It has to be baby steps.
The loop.
Yeah,
that's step 2 in my 4-step.
Well, he's got a program here, but to be honest, Isaac, seriously, dude, it's like the mental game for me is like I get to a point in that wheelie where instead of feathering my brake now, because I'm trying to work it without a lot of pressure on my knee, but I'm sure people without injuries feel this too. They use their strong foot. They pull up and push down on that crank, and the first thing they feel is that feeling of going back. And it's unnatural and it doesn't feel right. And something in your brain says, stop this. I'm gonna wreck here. So we grab a ton of brake instead of finding that point and go,
change your posture.
Feather. So,
change your posture in the middle of that too. But it's funny you bring up the brake. So the dips, that's step 3. You got the pop, you got the loop, you got the pop, you got the loop, you got the dips, you got the wheelie. It's a 4-step process.
Right.
And the more you practice, we're walking through fear every wheelie. Every time I pull the front end up, anytime you see somebody pull the front end up, we're mentally walking through a fear of what's going to happen next.
100%.
We're trying to control it, but we're trying to ride the fear of what's going to happen next. So as we're walking through the fear, because that's what we do in life, we walk through fears. We find a way around them. We don't get stopped by fears. We work around them. So if the fear is falling down, you buy elbow pads. I wear elbow pads and a helmet because I fell on my elbows too many times from the loop outs. I'm not scared of the loop out. The loop out's like, you seen the one in Frisco. I got 90,000 views on Instagram.
Yeah.
Bike didn't even land on the side. But so I would recommend like elbow pads so that you can have somewhere to land and when you do fall. And then like a backpack. I always ride with a backpack, and I wrecked in Marina Del Rey on the Maniac Flyer. I had my hands off the grip. Someone clipped me. I got tipped over upside down, and I just slid on my backpack. I knew my backpack's there, and I know it's there so I'm not sliding on myself. And you kind of just, you got to fall down a couple times to figure out what part of your body you're going to bust up.
Yep.
And then you start protecting it.
Yeah. Dude, Craig, I relate, dude. I mean, so I haven't talked about it as much, I think, as you have, but 3 years ago, dude, I completely blew my knee out in a swimming pool of all places. My kneecap was on the side of my leg. I had to push it back while I was in the pool underwater. It sucked. And so when I get on my bike, I definitely understand that fear of like, because there's nothing like when you go through a traumatic experience, especially with a joint or a body part, especially a knee. Like I've dislocated my knee on my bike when I was 16. Had to push it back in, had to like put it back in place.
Yeah.
Did it again in the swimming pool. And so like I hesitate to say PTSD because I reserve that for like people that have been through war, but I definitely have a healthy respect for, I hope my knee doesn't, I hope when I'm done with this, my knee's in the same spot as it was when I pressed down. I do, especially with tail whips and, cause I kick with my bad knee and I catch with my bad knee. And so, dude, it's definitely a scary thing. And I respect I respect what you're saying, and I completely understand what you're talking about the confidence level. And you know, dude, sometimes it's just you got to get out and do it, and you either decide one or two things: either A, today's not the day, and I don't want to do it, or B, man, I'm gonna do it, and like I'm just gonna have fun.
So with the knee, I would definitely just wear a knee brace. Wear a knee brace for two reasons: for awareness and protection. You're not going to push yourself too hard. You're going to limit yourself. In the beginning, it's really critical to just. It's like you're incubating the egg. I have a
hard time riding with my knee brace. Do you, Craig?
Yeah, it's almost as unnatural as
makes you wobble on the seat.
It does. It feels
I can't bend my knee all the way. I don't get full extension on my knee when I wear my brace. That's the problem. I can't get I wish I could bring my bike in here and show because I'm in here like doing stretches. Like my knee won't bend that way. But like I can't get my knee above my hip. Does that make sense, Matt? I know, Craig, this makes sense.
Yeah, it's like 90 degrees, yeah.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And I think if I'm speaking for other guys out there, not only, with injury, but as we get older, right? And especially guys who are getting into the scene that, no lie, when I was a kid, I could wheelie because I had a different type of bike. I mean, I had power brakes on my bike and a banana seat. No big deal. Getting back into it and I've been trying to hone my wheelie skills in for over a year now with the injury. But even if I didn't have the injury, at my age, it's like, and we joke about it, but it's really like, hey dude, I really don't want to get hurt doing this. And there is a factor of getting hurt, and
100%.
And with what Matt said, having the elbow pads, the backpack, the helmet, things like that, obviously are good protective measures that you can take in the event of, or when it does happen, because it probably will happen. So, maybe one of the things too is to also be aware of how to come off your pedals if you feel yourself going backwards. And we can get into all kinds of little tricks of the trade, but how to come off your bike. So if you do feel yourself looping out, you don't have enough time to grab that brake, how can you just come off the bike, because I really don't want to get hurt, but I do want to keep having fun. So that's kind of where I was at. And Matt said it perfectly. It's baby steps. Don't try, unless you're really, really good with your own balance and know the awareness that you have with your bike, you're probably not going to learn it in one day. If you do, and there's guys who can, that's awesome. I'm not that guy.
They find new hobbies. They get bored with it real fast.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's just one of those things where you have to know what your limits are and just keep pushing them so they can, keep growing and then you'll, finally get to it.
100%. All right, Matt. So I'm going to, so before this, you sent me a video of someone riding next to you doing a wheelie. So I'm going to bring that up and let's talk about all the things that we've been talking about before with a visual this time. So I'm going to share one of Matt Rickard's videos. Okay. And that should be up on the screen now. You guys can see that.
That old thing.
That old thing.
I love that bike, dude. I miss riding that thing, dude.
So I'm going to start it. And let's just talk about the pull-up here.
Okay, so you see my fingers are covering the brake. I ride my brake way down deep because I pull the bike back pretty far. So where your brake, my brake lever is like 80% tight. If I want to loosen it and swing it out forward so that my brakes are more flat, I can. When the kids ride the bike, they always swing it up. I swing mine down because of my grip, and it's because of the way I grip. I need a deeper grip on the handle grip.
So I'm gonna let this play for a second so people can see how smooth this is, and then we'll come back to the beginning.
Roll it back so the pop's in there also if you can.
Gosh, so bossy.
Watch my left foot push down as I pull back. It's because I'm left-handed. So it'd be your right foot pushes down first. Go ahead and roll it.
Boom.
Push down and pull back.
Yep.
And now I'm getting ready to tap the brake a little bit.
There it is. You can see the taps.
My fingers bend just very slightly just to know that it's like in the car, just to know that the brakes are there for me. And then I'm pulling back, keeping my shoulders square. And see, that's a good posture right there. I got more of my weight over top of the bike. I can go slower. I feel like I'm more in control of the bike. I scooted up on the seat a little tiny bit, and then now I'm scooting back on the seat, and I'm letting the weight of the bike out in front of me a little bit more.
See, I'm more of that guy.
The laid back, sit on the back edge of the seat.
Yeah, dude. Because that's what I want. Like, when I show you mine, I'm going to be interested to hear your reaction to it.
So Isaac, the first thing I want to look at with Matt's wheelie, he mentioned it right here at the pop.
Yep.
Notice Matt's posture. He's leaning in. He's getting his weight ahead of him, or toward a little bit over the bars.
Yep.
So that when he does pop with his strong foot on the left side,
here it comes.
His shoulders are going back. He's leaning forward.
Here's also something to pay attention to. He's compressed.
Compressed.
Look at my feet.
See, look back here. He's back.
I am compressed. This is nice.
You are. He compresses in, and then boom, there's an explosion when he pedals down.
Yep. As soon as the pedal gets to the top, I start pulling back, because as it rolls over the front, I know that it's going to help pull the front end up. And then obviously I pull up hard, and I have to check the brake every time. But that's just part of the systematic thing that I do when I pop the wheelie. I'm on the brakes always.
Matt, when you do your pop there and you get your wheel up, you seem like you kind of coasted a little bit. You're not trying to pedal fast through your wheelie. Is that just trying to find the balance point, getting that, and then you pedal as you feel your front end dipping down, or just to keep your momentum going, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to that coasting part right here.
Yeah, because Matt does a pop.
The perfect wheelie is you push down and pull back, and you're in a coast. It's like you're weightless for that minute. And then I always like to lean back and check the brake. But some people will let the front end dip, and they'll just keep it without even touching the brake. They can keep pedaling and keeping the wheelie going, which is dangerous, because if you're not covering the brake, bad shit can happen because you can't slow down. It's like being run away on a snowboard.
Right.
And then I scooted up just for when I ride slower, I scoot up, I sit up more like that. So when I'm in a crowd of people, I'm up, and I'm up a little bit more so I can turn better.
Yeah. And let's look at if you back it up, Isaac, to where Matt has two different postures in this video. And we just talked a bit about it, but at first Matt's almost vertical. His back is like almost like a 90 degree with the street, like it's straight up and down, right?
See the parking spots?
Yeah.
Those are great things to use when you're learning to ride your own wheelies.
Dude, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
do one parking spot.
Let's get into that in a minute.
Spots.
Let's get into that in a minute. Right there, dude. Look at Matt's posture. Now that's a pretty hard. That to me is hard to do, because as I pull my elbows into my body, I really feel like my center of balance is really tight, and I'm pulling the bike back towards me. I loop out with these more than I do with my arm straight. So Matt does a really good job of finding that comfort zone, or
I'm heavier on the brake. I got the brake squeezed a little bit the whole time I'm up there like that.
Yeah. It's if you keep it rolling forward now from there, Matt
let me point one thing out.
Yeah.
His posture right here looks like he's sitting in a chair.
In a chair. Yeah, exactly.
His back is almost, that's about as close to 90 degrees as you can. And he's sitting in a chair.
Right.
All right. Now, do you want full speed or you want slow speed?
Just roll it. Try to scroll through at, so I'm going to talk through this. So there he goes.
Relax. Oh, it was when I changed posture from vertical to laid back, I coasted, because I had the bike pulled in and I had way more control of it. So I coast, and as I'm coasting, I'm releasing control of the bike to my weight. And then once I get in this other position where my arms are fully extended, then I'm leaning my back.
Which way, Matt? Like if you were learning how to wheelie,
this is uptight.
This looks right here where your arms are straight. You're looking straight ahead over your tire, not your head down.
And see how the front end is wobbling?
Yeah.
You don't have as much. When you're pulled in, you have more side-to-side control. As you lay back, you're relying on your weight on the seat. You're basically thinking to the left, and you're going to the left. To whereas when you're pulled in like this, you really are on a good line, and if you want to turn, you really have to turn your bars and then lean.
Okay, I'm gonna show you send in another clip, and we're gonna play that one now. So here's your other clip.
Oh no, it's that bike. Look at that KnightBikeCompany stem on that thing. That's that mirror polish and that sprocket.
So this one I'm just gonna play full speed, and then we'll go back and analyze it.
All right.
BMX Plus on the license. This is at Elk Grove Bike Life, the real Elk Grove Bike Life. They do Wednesday nights. And there's always a bunch of kids out there that's kicking the pants to go out and ride with them.
So here we go. You're in that kind of, you're in between here, I would say.
Yeah, my elbows are bent pretty good. I got my chest close to the bar. I'm about to pull back on the bike.
There you go. Yep.
Well, we don't, Isaac, just to let you know, bro, we're not seeing any motion out of the video clip.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's see, is this, here we go.
This was the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
What's the little yellow ring? Is that where the camera is?
That's whoever's talking, that's going to be what's on the video. There we go.
Okay. So now you're kind of loading up here. You're in between, then you get tighter.
And I'm scooting up on the seat a little bit when I do that because the seat has like a well. And then when you scoot up, it feels flatter up on the seat a little bit further. When you slide on the back of the seat, you're rolling off the back of it.
When you're doing that, Matt, what are you looking at? Like, because like I noticed when I first started learning, I looked a lot at my tire. Like but my head was down, so it kept.
I look at the horizon because the tire and the handlebars all come into the peripheral, and I'm looking out in front of me to try to keep everything gyroscopically balanced.
Oh, that sounds technical.
Yeah, dude. I feel like if I was looking at the frame or the bike, I think I would get motion sick, or I would lose my balance. I feel like
I look at the horizon. I try to feel the bike underneath me. This is the thing with muscle memory or repetition. The only analogy I have is wiping your ass. We all didn't know how to wipe our ass. There's a point in our life where we take it upon ourselves and we practice it enough, hopefully, that we do a really good job at it. And I think wheelies, it's the same thing where it takes a lot of practice. We wipe once a day, and that's what makes us good at it. So if you would go outside, pop a wheelie or two a day, you get a better feel for where the pop is, right? You go out and you fart around, you get a feel for the pop.
Craig, I would tell you, look at the horizon because to put it in an analogy, I think you would totally understand. If you like, imagine you're in the bowl. Looking at your frame, or you're looking at your handlebars, or looking at your tire is the equivalent of looking at the coping on a ramp. Like if you look at the coping when you're trying to ride a ramp, for some reason you can't spin. Like you go up and you just fall straight back down.
Well, actually, and that's a really good analogy because like I said, was looking at my tire because I just wanted to see if my tire up. You know, I don't know what it was. It was like a psychosomatic or whatever they call that.
I look down at my tire just now, and then I lose the wheelie.
Yeah, and so if you look at the horizon too, your head's up, your weight's back on your shoulders.
Yeah,
and your focus is out in the distance. If you're looking down at your tire, for me, I always seem to drop my tire as soon as I look at it. I don't know why. All
right.
It gets your attention.
It gets your
attention, and it draws your attention there as it drops.
All right. So Matt, I'm gonna show a couple of my wheelies and have you give me a good critique on these. Okay. So here, this is me. This was actually today.
Arrow.
And yeah, I was on my Haro too. So Bren, everybody went on the bike ride today. Both boys, my wife and myself. And Bren jumped on the PK Ripper. And I was like, hey, do you want to ride the Haro? She's like, I sure don't. So I had to ride this one. So this is not my normal bike, but still, I think you'll be able to give me a good critique on this one. So here we go. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can bring this over and then. Is that going to work? There we go. I apologize, you guys. I don't do this very often, so. So if you notice, man, I'm pulled way back, dude. I don't get too tight. The bike's
smaller, so you don't have that where your weight's already over the front of it just by leaning forward slightly. And yeah, you're towards the back of the seat. Your arms are all the way extended. How do you normally turn when you're riding a wheelie? Do you just turn your handlebars, or do you slide around on the seat at all?
I slide very slightly. honestly, dude, it's almost like, you know, when you're riding with no hands and you turn the bike with your hips.
Same stuff.
That's what I'm doing. It's almost like driving. You kind of just look the way you're going to turn. So I'll just kind of look the way I'm going to turn, and then your bike. I wish I had a more articulate way to say this, but like if you think about turning, your bike just kind of does it.
Right. And you have to, the trick is by thinking about it, you shift your body weight. You've been riding for a long time, so your body weight naturally moves the appropriate amount. And what I learned with these 29ers when I started riding the wheelies was I would move my weight and it would get me turning one way and I couldn't correct. So it especially with these 29ers, it's new muscle groups. And it took me a while to get, I rode mountain bikes and they were always 26. And to jump to 29, it's all those muscles that you have to engage, that you have to retrain to work together. The other half of it is your lower body. You have to be able to pop the wheel up and keep your wheels turning like this without, and that's what the injury does. It makes it to where you can't just, how is it? It's just in a circle, right?
Yeah, no,
you need to pedal the circle. And when you have an injury, that circle is more like an oval.
Mm-hmm.
That last video of me popping a wheelie, I pump with my left foot and I didn't kick hard enough for it to coast. And if you look, I push down with my right foot again and I actually pulled. It's like I pull back with the left foot and grip, and it wasn't enough. So then I push with the right foot and I grip a little bit more. And then I was finally on a wheelie.
I'm going to bring up another video here and we can kind of see if I haven't watched these other than when I loaded them to make sure they played. So I've watched this maybe one time. So I'm curious to see if I do any of the same stuff you do. So let's
your
see.
posture is pretty freaking square. I mean, you got the bike tip back. You're not.
You can see the little dips from tapping. Like here, I think I'm in a pretty good little flow. You can see my fingers just boom, boom, boom.
Is this playing at regular speed, Isaac?
Yeah, it's playing at regular speed.
Okay.
Now I'll slow it down and go backwards. Shout out to that stain on my jeans right there.
So shout out to you, Isaac, for gripping that grip with two fingers like that.
Dude, I have to, man, or I will I'm like Craig, man. I'm terrified of like looping out. I don't want to fall back. So, but here I'll kind of play at normal speed. This one's a pretty good float, but you can see the I get kind of choppy up and down on it. And then I got one more video that we can critique here.
Hey, just so you know too, when we're seeing it, it's
choppy on this side.
It's just choppy, so we're seeing it. The video's choppy, but
hopefully it comes through good on the screen.
Yeah, run this next one.
Yeah,
let's see how this one looks.
Your arms are extended as soon as you pull up. So
this one's good though because I have two fails. I know on this one I have two fails where I don't get all the way up. So you'll be able to see when you don't make it. So, boom. So I'm gonna rewind that.
And your elbows bent like they're supposed to. It's just you didn't give enough kick.
Yep.
With the pedal, and it makes the you're lifting the front end up as you're kicking the pedal, but then you're also bringing it back down when you hit the brakes. So there's it's like driving with your foot on the gas and the brake.
So he's just a little heavy on the feather, and that's it on that.
He didn't know. No, the feather was fine. Otherwise, he would have looped out. But he didn't kick hard enough. So
I didn't pull high enough. Yeah, I didn't pull high enough.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So you'll see, Craig. You'll see when I get to the very peak that I'm already trying to tuck my hips under the wheelie. So you pull up and you kind of throw your hips forward a bit mentally.
Scooching because you knew he didn't have the weight up high enough.
You'll watch it right here, Craig. Boom.
All right.
So here, if my elbows are bent too far in, and I don't have the bike underneath me, and so the bike's just going to fall down when I have to see, and it happens again right here. I'm fighting it. And so I'm gonna rewind this part because
he didn't pop the wheel up high enough off the ground by we're talking just enough to where you feel a difference.
So
everything in his body told him that we're good right here, but when in actuality it had to go back a little bit more.
Yep, 100%. And then this one, I get it.
Yeah, the first one's practice. He mentally makes adjustments on the harder kick and a little bit more pull which those really, the pull and the kick kind of come together as one. And his body works real well. See his lower body kicking the pedals, his upper body's stable and flat. His front tire's pretty stable. It's only bobbing because of where he's kicking the pedals.
And if you look too, my eyes, I'm looking, if you can see close enough, my eyes, I'm straight ahead.
Straight out.
Straight across horizon. Your head's not down and your weight's back. So.
All right. And I try and pull forward like Matt. And then I go back down. So.
And you know, I mean, mine is really exaggerated. I get bored and I ride like this for a while and then I ride like this for a while. But for most people, just changing their position to where they feel a new muscle group engage, that's all you have to do. And then it's like martial arts, dude. It takes 500, 600 repetitions for a muscle to want to fire in that sequence. So
in your brain to get your brain going too.
Yeah.
It's all like a concert of like brain, tap, float.
It is. It's almost like it's not a martial art, but I compare it to, it's a discipline.
It's a discipline.
It's a disciplined physical action. And the more you do it, I've been riding wheelies for a long time. And that's the secret to my fluidity is just getting out there and still riding and staying active, keeping those muscles firing. In the beginning, I'm telling you, D-Block called me a worm to my face and I wasn't even mad because when my bike was new and I wasn't real good on the 29 yet, I couldn't keep the front end up like I can now. And,
I'm gonna play this one more time. Give me any tips that you see, any mistakes that you see me making. Call them out.
Is this the one where you pop it and drop it and then pop it?
Yes, sir. Right here. And it's not an excuse, but I am on some unpaved, like it's a dirt pavement, so a dirt path.
No, your arms look a lot more stable. The first time when you popped, you're right. Your elbows were bent and they're kind of wobbling around. From practice, you get in this position where you know if your arms are extended to a certain point, that's where it is. And then it's just up to your lower body to keep the thing moving.
Now here I'm trying to get up on trying to sit up even like you were like I'd seen you do.
Right.
And I think it's because it's a smaller bike where it feels so wonky.
You don't have to shift your weight very far for it to actually make the bike act differently. The 29, you really got to take your weight from over the tire to over the frame.
Yeah.
Whereas this thing, all you got to do is, it's like you said, you just think forward a little bit and that front end just starts to get heavy.
Yep.
So, you know, the other side of it, it's the mental thing is what am I trying to accomplish? Am I trying to ride blocks and blocks? Do I just want to pop a wheelie? And I think the consensus is just a mild 3 to 10 pedal wheelie, a parking spot to 2 parking spots. Do that consistently. You know, I'm talking like every time you go out, you do it so many times, you're just bored with it. Then you say, okay, I'm going to go 2 lines. And then you do that. I'm more of a guy that I want to practice that one trick 10,000 times. I wanted that trick to just be a natural reaction. And like now,
those milestones, like Matt's talking about, Isaac, I find that to be really helpful because you can kind of gauge not only, obviously you can say, okay, I can get 2 or 3 cranks out of something, but when you use cracks in the sidewalk or painted parking stall markers, you're like, today I got 3.
And
tomorrow I got 4. Yeah,
you count them. I went 3 of them. It only took me 6 pedals.
Right.
Because you coasted a bunch of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like instantly can tell you your progress as far. I mean, you could feel it, but now you can go, wow, if those markers are 6 feet apart, 8 feet apart, I did 4 of them today. Man, I went like 30 some feet.
And on these, when we go on these ride outs and we stop, there's people they're the most stubborn people in the group. They're like, I'm fucking going to learn this. They think there's a secret to it. But they go over there and they work and they work and they work. And those are the ones I'll go over and I'll tell them, okay, I'll go critique them a little bit. Do this. Square your shoulders up a little bit more. Slow down your vehicle speed so that when you pop the wheelie, you're not just going out of control. You want to almost go, especially to alleviate the loop out, you want to go the slowest possible. So if you do have to loop out, your leg comes down behind you, your good leg, and you can fall down backwards that way. You could let go of the bike or hold on to it.
Well, I got a question then, because when I started learning and trying to get my strength back and my balance back, too slow was almost like, when you come to a stop on your bike and you're having to balance, you're stalling out. So you do have to have a little bit of speed. Like Matt said, not an incredible amount of speed. You don't want to just pedal yourself off to like.
As you kick and pop, you're going to pick up speed immediately. So if you're already,
you do. You pick up.
If you're already at a point where you're kind of spinning your wheels, it's not.
I think it's hard, dude.
It is hard. Going too slow is hard too. You want your wheel to spin as well. You want gyroscopic balance and control of the bike. But too slow to me is almost like
it's a separate challenge on itself.
Yeah, you got to find that comfort zone, not only with like say balance point, but your starting speed when you're learning. I try to go a little bit slower, but not too slow.
I go. So my wheelies typically, like if I'm not riding anymore, if I'm just riding a wheelie, dude, my wheelie speed is like right into the mailbox speed. You know what I mean? Like I like slower controlled wheelies that are just slow and smooth, man. I'm not trying to race anybody down, especially on my Big Ripper, dude, because Matt, you may not be familiar with this, but Craig is. I run a 33-17 on my Big Ripper. And so for me, dude, like if you see me wheeling, I'm hamster wheeling going nowhere. But for me, like,
but you're getting that wheel up a lot.
That gear combination's better for the pop
up, yeah,
dude. Because for me, like when I got that gearing on the Big Ripper, because when I first got it, man, I was just like, ugh. You can even hear some of the old videos, like of me grunting as I'm trying to yank that thing up, dude.
29-inch frame.
Yeah, and this is a good combination here because we got Matt. Obviously, his skill level is off the charts. Isaac, you're a really good wheelie rider, and me, I'm more of the guys that are out there going, "Hey, I'm learning how to do this. I'm beginning." And
I'll be honest, and let me stop you real quick, just because I want to say this.
Yeah, say it.
Nobody is better than anybody else at like you. Like, it's not a like. Okay, Matt may ride a wheelie longer, but the respect that I have for his wheelie and the respect I have for you just going out to try and figure him out, 100% the same. Even I would say I respect yours a little bit more, Craig, because like I know what that hunger and I know what that hustle's like. And so I respect anybody that's out there trying to do it. Like G and Shell, I remember when that kid on Instagram, when he was doing stand-up wheelies, and I'm like, bro, just sit down and just be calm through it. And now you'll see that kid, and he's got blocks sitting down. You know what I mean? And so I love, dude, that like you're being like absolutely like, man, I struggle with them because
and there's something that tells me like I'm part of that group of riders who've been riding a long time and know how to wheelie, have wheelied in the past, and then now it's like relearning balance, relearning, and I rode a different size bike pretty much my whole life up until about 3.5 years ago. Things like Matt said, like you said, they're great pointers. Muscle memory, balance point, learning how to use rear brakes instead of, just balancing yourself and standing up. A lot of wheelies on 20-inch bikes are done standing up, or for me. So yeah, there's a whole new memory process for muscles.
I still do those when I'm losing balance of the bike. And the bike's running away from me and the front end's going to drop, the last resort is to do the stand-up wheelie and then try to plot back on the seat.
Right, because you're trying to get your balance
trying to get
back
the front end
from the low
back.
end.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can do stand-up wheelies. They're just a lot more sketchier, and you better be covering that brake,
They're
dude.
Dangerous looking, dude.
Yeah.
They're scary looking to me. I get so anxious watching people do stand-up wheelies. I'm like,
being on the seat, you have that point of contact where we don't squeeze the seat with our ass, but we definitely SE Bike's got the perfect seat design to where when I ride circle wheelies, I lean way over on the side of that thing and the bike's twisted out and I'm sitting on the side of it, but I'm sitting straight up and down and the bike's just twisted up underneath me.
Yeah. So talk about, before we started recording, Matt, you had talked about kind of the wedge, the balance point of the wedge. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that's a huge, important.
The wedge of the wheelie is the front tire has to come up so far to stay up. And then if it goes back too far, you're going to loop out. So you have to pull it up on the pop to the beginning of that wedge. And then you have the whole entire wedge basically to play with the brakes.
Yeah.
till it
I've
gets
always
to
called
this
it
point.
a balance point, but I think wedge is such a better.
If it was a 360-degree wheel, you would have a wedge of degrees. And I believe that the geometry of the Big Ripper gives you a more generous wedge. The beast mode, the Fat Ripper, where the rake of the bike goes straight back. You don't have to pull down the top tube and then down the back of the bike. You're pulling your energy from the handlebars right to the fulcrum, which is the back axle. And the bikes are just, it makes it easier by the way they're designed. Todd's got this thing figured out. They took that geometry, he tweaked it, he did what he had to with it. The Big Ripper still goes back and then down, but it got the loop tail back there. And
well, I think that's why we talk about, these are BMX bikes, the 29ers, the 27.5s, 26s, whatever. We talk about being able to ride these and do the things that, like, you can do your wheelies, your manuals and everything, because the geometry really allows that based on a BMX 20-inch platform that's got the same design, essence, the geometry. Isaac's made a video about how that geometry transitions from a 20-inch bike all the way up to a 29. Right. They just play around with certain features and stuff, but
your butt's still sitting in the same spot.
It's still your butt's in the same spot.
Yeah. And okay, so there's been this question been asked to me a lot, and it was asked a lot of us over the weekend at the hoedown, was what's the difference between a manual and a wheelie? And the manual is just simply holding on the bars and throwing your weight back far enough past there that you're coasting. And I didn't come up with a good idea or a good answer when I was asked at the hoedown. The manual's a whole nother. If you don't want to loop out doing the wheelies, you can manual. You just lean all your weight back until the front end lifts up, and as it lifts up, you can hit the brakes. Your legs are going to be locked. You got to bend your knees. So if there's a knee injury, that's it. When I ride a manual, the bike's going backwards and forwards. It's going side to side. It's moving around a lot. And
there's different variations too. That's the basic. And Matt, if you guys go check out Matt's videos or go to his Instagram page, if you want to see a pretty classic big bike manual, he's still on the pedals. His ass is off the seat. He's got his weight fully back, arms extended.
I'm as close to the tire in the back as I can get. The seat's like on my stomach, basically. And I've had a few times where I got sucked in the back tire. And
how much difference are you in your manual? Are you using the brakes? Are you lightly using them?
No, I'm trying not to use them at all because in the manual, you don't. When you're wheeling, you have your lower body working with your upper body to keep the motion going. On the manual, you're just free coasting, and every time you touch the brakes, you're scrubbing speed off, and ultimately you're going to drop the front tire sooner.
Yeah, Isaac. So I think that's one of the big differences in the wheelie and the manual is, you're relying on your body position behind the seat. And some guys do it from the peg. Some guys, like Matt, does a really good pedal manual, rear manual from the pedals, and it's really the weight.
I prefer the pedals. I keep my knees bent and my elbows bent, and I pull the bike in real close. And I've gone over 30 miles an hour. I got a hill. I'm going to try to hit 40 miles an hour on a manual. Probably going to take me a mile-long hill to get the clip, but I have one picked out. I just haven't found a cameraman yet.
You're crazy, dude. I can't. So full disclosure, I can't manual. I can, like, from my 80s days, like I can do a wheelie on the back, just standing on a peg.
Ricky Montana.
I have to have one foot is dangling behind me as a counterbalance.
On the peg, yeah.
So I'll do like 1 foot on the peg, then I have to pull back, and then one leg is dangling behind me as a counterbalance, almost like the opposite of a hang five on the front.
Yeah.
I have to use that leg, dude, and it's
I can't do those. I squeeze the frame with both my feet and just stay on both pegs, and I can turn and everything like that. I can't take 1 foot off.
I've mentally so. And for me, you guys, bikes to me are like almost science. Like I have to, almost like an athlete. Like if you played football and you would visualize like the perfect snap and like hitting somebody as a linebacker. I played linebacker, so like that's what I would visualize. But you visualize that perfect, like I hit them in the right spot where my body was squat, and I was square to them, and like they became light to me to lift up and move them. And so when you do those visualization for any sport, I like to visualize like the manual, the wheelie, all that stuff. And I can visualize a manual, but my brain to my muscles when I go out to do it, goes, yeah, fuck that. Like it just goes out the window. So I'm still at the analyzing spot, but I will tell you this. If you are trying to learn peg wheelies or peg manuals, turn the handlebars around 90, like turn them 180 degrees around.
Closer in.
And that's an old 80s trick, dude. Like if you turn the handlebars 180 degrees and then you go and do a wheelie, it's like a banana seat. It's like having a banana. It's a cheat code.
The banana seat.
It's like doing a wheelie with a banana seat. Trust me.
The banana seat. I tip my seat down pretty steep. I don't go as steep as a lot of the combo kids because I like a little bit of a flat ride. They do that steep stuff because they're doing they're standing on the seat more. Yeah. But that's part of the wheelie is adjust your seat height, adjust your seat angle, your handlebars.
Do you run your seat high?
I got a measurement written down at home. I do. I run it up sort of high because I want my weight at the back end of that fulcrum. Yeah. The lower the seat is, the more your weight is towards the front of the bike.
It's closer to the bottom bracket. Like you're more forward.
And for me being tall, my knees bend. I don't like my knees to bend more than 90 degrees.
Yeah.
When the pedal's up.
Yeah.
Now, of course, when I pop a wheelie and stuff like that, I'm exaggerating my body to manipulate the bike more.
Dude, and I've been changing my seat height as just like experimentation. And it was Matt on a ride out, and I was like, putting my seat up like 3/4 or an inch. And he's like, bro, don't do it that much. Just make very small changes, work with it a bit and get the feel of it, because the seat height really does affect like balance point, where that wedge Matt was talking about. It makes that wedge change. It opens it up or it can close it depending, on your height or where you But
I think everyone's body's different, dude. Craig, I think you are you can't be more right about that. Like everyone has a different, like they may have I could tell you, okay, Matt, you're 6'5".
0. I call it their 0.
Yeah.
I run 9-inch bars with 15 mil spacers underneath it, and then I jack my seat way up, and my bars are super far forward.
Yeah.
That's just what's comfortable for me. That's the good thing about the bikes.
At 6'5", dude, though, like you could be all leg or you could be all torso. Depending on your genetics, man. Like not everyone is like, if not everybody that's 6'5" has the same belly button height. You know what I mean? So Craig, to your point, 100% you're going to be dialing in that seat
belly button height.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like everyone's
we got different belly button heights, bro.
Yeah, like
no, but it's so true because
you and I are like the same height, Craig.
I'm a little. If you're 6 foot, I'm like 5'10" and a half, 5'11", right?
Okay.
We're about the same weight. I'm about 215 pounds, and I'm an inch shorter than you. But for all you guys learning out there that are like, you're seeing dudes with their seats slammed. You're seeing guys with their seat posts with like 5 or 6 inches of post in the seat. You got to play around with it. You got to find a range that's comfortable. And just because you find that range doesn't mean, now you're going to be wheeling in an hour. No, that's just the foundation. It's like okay, this is the spot I can learn from. This is where I feel comfortable. Yep. Then you got to work on your skills and all your motor skills and your mechanics. Yeah, your practice.
I mean, it's not a big secret. I ride 30 miles a week. I have for the last 3 years. I've averaged it's like 26 point something miles.
Yep.
Every 7 days for the last 3.5
Dude,
years.
we were sitting, Matt and I were over at Tucker's house one day, and Matt was trying to do in his head like the math on how many miles he does on one wheel a year, and it's in the thousands, dude.
Well, I ride 1,800 miles a year annually. So
the ride
so it was like 500 or 600. We're gonna say a third of the ride is on the back tire.
Damn, I was way off.
So, but no, I got 4,800 miles at the 3-year mark. I was shooting for 5,000 miles in 3 years.
That's what it was.
But and then I got locked out of my map thing. But it is what it is. I know what numbers are in there. I've started new numbers over this year.
But even I mean, I will tell you, like, I think just pedaling on 2 wheels, just getting your brain used to riding that bike. will absolutely benefit you doing wheelies. Like you can't, like hats off. And I even said this, I did a wheelie video 2 weeks ago when you guys were doing the hoedown. And I was like, man, I got so much respect for you guys to be able to hop off your regular bike, hop on a brand new bike, and just like, okay, I'm going to wheelie a 26. Okay, now I'm going to wheelie a dirt jumper. And then now I'm going to
Maniac Flyer. It was fun.
So like just being able to pop off of, you know, your tried and true, what you're used to, what your brain is used to, and just popping on some brand new bike with new geometry and new, you know, the handlebars aren't as tall and the seat isn't where you're used to, you know, and just being like, and then the whole world's watching you like, hey, you should be able to wheelie for 50 miles right now. It's just not fair. Like somebody even commented on like one of Weecho's posts, like, oh man, like how can that guy be on the SE team if he can't wheelie that bike? And I'm like, I remember commenting, I was like, it's a fucking dirt jumper, dude. Like he rides a monster quad and you're bummed out that he's in a parking lot full of people and he can't wheelie a dirt jumper?
Wheecho, he wheelied all of those bikes. He rode, Wheecho's 51 years old. Frank is 14, I think. And then there's ages in between. Most of the guys are 20. Most of them are over 18. I think Rye and Frank and Keith are the only ones under 18.
Yeah.
But he kept up with us all weekend. He did his own thing. He's full of energy, dude. I'm proud to call Wheecho my teammate. Wheecho, you're the best, dude. Love and support all the way around the house. Everybody in this team supports each other. And that, I don't want to go on and on about the crew. I love my team to death, and that's not what we're here for. We're gonna have to do another one, talk about all that.
My favorite part of that guy is like you see him wheelie, and then it's this. His hands like
he loves it.
That's his wheelie like fist pump of like stokedness, like
yeah. I think we all feel the same about that guy.
Yes,
I think we all feel the same about that guy. Like
but help it. Going back to what you were saying though, Isaac, it is a testament because you know they got their mechanics down, the skills and everything to go from any bike with that.
They're closer. They're better. They're closer to the middle of that wedge than I was because I found myself hitting the brakes, doing the dip, having issues, and like I said, those kids, they were letting go and then grabbing back on. So they're literally there's that wedge is we're gonna call it what 25 degrees worth of the 360. There's gonna be like 1 or 2% of that that's red, and if your weight is right there, it's almost as if there's nothing underneath you. Your tires on this much of the ground.
Yeah.
You're sitting on that's what you want. That's the ideal wheelie.
That's float.
We never get there. We strive for that, but we never really get there.
Yeah. That perfect float where you're like,
and you just hold on to it and you just wish it would last forever. And then the next thing you know, you got to hit the brakes. You got to pedal.
I always do. So tell me if you do this, there's times when I'll hit that balance point and I'll start in my mind. I'll think if I had a fixie, I wouldn't be able to grab my brake right now. So I'll try and control my wheelie without being a fixie, and just try and okay, barely tap. And maybe maybe it works because it's a hydraulic brake on the PK. And I do this on the PK, but it's like just barely, you're barely just touching the brake. And it's like, you're just in that zone. And like you said, it may be only 3 rotations.
Yeah. If you need the brake, it's there for you. You know exactly where it is. But you don't. And your fingers, D-Blocks does he does these peg manuals where he lets go and he's got his thumbs on the back of the handlebars. That's why I think he rode bikes with no brakes because of that. Or fixies, or there's something, the fixie people who ride fixies.
Fixie people.
They use a different muscle group to slow down. They slow the bike down with their legs. So their legs are, it's a totally different.
That's a whole different dynamic.
I ride with those guys and I respect the crap out of what they do. I get the hell out of their way every chance I get because they can't stop. They can't. Their level of control on the bike is non-existent once that back tire starts turning and the pedals go with them.
Yep, 100%.
Shout out Tree City Fix. Those are my guys, and I ride with them every Friday night in Sacramento. All the kids that ride with us out there, all those people. It supports us. Let's talk about the cheat codes for the wheelies.
Yeah.
Small group of friends. You find a small group of friends. I had Scobie 916 and Untaggable Josh. Dear friends I've had from my life for a very long time. We all started riding bikes together. I wanted to ride the wheelies. Brandon bought a beast mode. Josh bought a buff. And Brandon could ride wheelies. Me and Brandon, we feed off each other. We're on the same level. Whether we're doing the same shit at the same time, he's as good as I am. Josh, on the other hand, he's like, y'all are idiots. Every time you bust your ass, I laugh my ass off. And then over time, he's like, man, these guys are just having too much fun. And he went through the pops, and he went through the loops, and he went through the dips. And then he started getting these wheelies. He came out last Saturday, hadn't rode in 6 months. He's been spending all his time with his kids. And he comes out and he pops a couple wheelies. No bullshit. He pops substantial wheelies, but he pulls the first one. He looks over at me. He's like, yep, still got it. And the front end drops and he just cruises. A little bit later, he's like he's just checking, poop, and he pulls it up. So, for guys like me, I'm an adrenaline junkie. I'm looking for that next thrill. I'm looking for that next obstacle to overcome on my bike.
Yep.
And I'm to the extreme side of it. Whereas I think the majority of the people that are looking to ride wheelies and they want to build a solid foundation, they're not looking at riding through the pack and barely missing stuff and having all these higher risk situations. They're looking for a wheelie pop, a good coast, looking for that super sweet spot, and then maybe the front end drop, and that's, I think that's going to be more popular in the groups and on the rides than anything else. We got a lot of these kids. There's a lot more people on the rides, and it gets kind of wild.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see people just doing the basic stuff, because if you ride with that person, you're doing the fundamental 10 pedal wheelie, and then once in a while it turns into a 30 pedal wheelie, I know in a year that if you're riding on a 10 pedal wheelie right towards me, that you're not just going to clobber me and take me out. That trust level of getting out there and riding and showing face out on the ride, showing face with your bike and yourself. Craig's challenging himself. He wants to ride a wheelie. This is all an internal game where he's like, what am I willing to sacrifice? Obviously his knee's a problem. And if he's not willing to sacrifice his knee, he's got to figure out a game plan on how he's going to take care of this. The second pedal of the wheelie, not being able to have that left power there, he's going to have to learn how to kick really hard on that right side and rely on his brakes more
on the
to
coast.
Give his left leg a chance to get around a little bit more. And that's probably what you'll work on. You'll work on making that left leg stall out more often.
Yeah. And that's, Isaac, that's one of the things. And to Matt's comment, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I think that's one of the things that us older dudes or dudes with injuries who are just getting back into this have to figure out is like, what part of the mechanics do you have to work on to get to that point? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you work around it.
You work, exactly. So
it's an obstacle. And once we become aware of the obstacles, we, as problem solvers, as people, we want to try to make this thing right. And so he's just going to have to learn to compensate a little bit with different part of his body. He might have to go into that really tall position to start. Instead of getting there and then being in trouble, you need to go there to start and then start working your way backwards through the problem.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'll tell you, I don't see myself as ever being like I'm going to be dodging and wheelie, dodging and swerving traffic and
we want people to think that, or we want to look and know that we know what we're doing, because even on a 10 pedal wheelie, if something goes wrong, you have to use your peripheral, make sure that nobody comes in contact with you, because for a lot of the guys, it's just the glory of being able to ride the wheelie.
Yeah.
It's not like me.
For me,
I'm trying to keep up with the kids in the front, and I don't know why. I get up there and I'm like, all my friends are in the back.
That's the way it's going to be for me. I just want to ride it. I want to have fun with it. And, one of the things you brought out, ride outs, I'm pretty aware of what's going around me, because I'm just trying to figure out what's my contingency if I have to bail or whatever. And you see guys that are out there, you can tell they're learning how to wheelie, because like Matt said, you might have a guy who can do a 10 pedal, and then he may lose that wheelie to right or left, or come off real sketchy and land.
The muscle
sketchy.
Fatigue sets in.
Fatigue sets in, but it's like, maybe the thing is not so much can you wheelie or are you learning. And when you're going to a ride out, man, if you're not, too confident with it, or you're just trying to, figure out if you can ride that wheelie in a ride out, maybe hang out where the pockets opened up a little bit, or maybe the back of the pack a little bit more where people are more staggered. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying for others around you, pick your time and place to practice in a ride out, because riding in a group,
that's when it's dangerous. That's when the danger level, there's
the
too many
game
variables.
changes.
Too many variables.
Yeah, game changes.
So practice by yourself or with a small group of friends. And everybody, like me and Scobie rode wheelies for years. So our skill level, we're trying to squeeze through these little gaps. Josh, all he was trying to do was he's trying to get rid of those dips. No bullshit. Josh had the dips longer than I've seen anybody have the dips and still say, I'm going to keep pushing through this. And he got the wheelie. He had the dips for like, me and Brandon got tired of riding with him. We're like, it's just, not that it was pathetic. It's just, like he needed to be alone, but he needed our support still. So we would lag back. We would ride with him. And then one day, and he's like, Guy, look at me, Guy. And
you figure it out.
For me and Brandon, we've known him as a person for a long time. I've known him since they were teenagers. And to see him actually want that and to achieve that. And now when he rides, he's like, what? I need to ride a wheelie real quick. Okay. Yeah. And he pulls it up, he drops it, and he goes, it's all you do. You just hold the wheel up longer. And then he laughs at me. He calls me an idiot.
100%, dude. Well, I will tell you, Craig, for me personally, like, go at your own pace. This is my advice to you. Go at your own pace. Fun is more important than anything. And the minute it's not fun, don't do it.
No, we'll all stop.
Oh yeah, no.
As soon as the fun goes away, none of us will be here.
I totally appreciate that, because it's all about fun for me. I'm one of those types that, like, I accept challenges because I want to, like, conquer my goals. I want to be like, I'm going to get this. And I tell myself when I'm out there, when I'm getting frustrated, I know I'm not the only guy who gets frustrated out there. It's something that I can do. And it's something I know the more I do it, the better chance I have of conquering that and riding the way I want to ride. Like I said, I know how to ride wheelies. I've ridden them since I was a little kid. This is just a different, challenge for me, not only physically, but the mental game too. And I've got it. I haven't ridden a lot of wheelies around people because I'm still kind of like, wanting to hold it down until I can, like, really get some blocks going. But I can ride,
But that's what it's all about. As long as you're pushing yourself.
You got to push yourself, and you go out. And if you can't do it every day, tell yourself, I'm gonna go out every other day this week. And it's almost like any other thing. It's like the frustration's there until you get that one time where you get it up, and you're like, whoa, I'm in this. I'm in the balance.
I'm in the wedge.
I'm in the wedge, dude. And I pedaled, like, my best was like 10 pedals. I just did a 30 pedal. Dude, I got to keep this going so I can remember this feeling. My muscles remember this feeling, and it just motivates you to go back out the next day. I've been watching R.L. Osborne's his videos, right? Almost every day. His son, Dylan, has a fat quad, an SE Racing fat quad, and he's like, I've been practicing for a week. Now, I watched him when he first practiced. It was like, pop it up, drop it down. Like, automatically almost. He's looped out on the bike. He showed it in a clip. He's like owning his mistakes or his learning curve. And now he's starting to pop it and pedal. And then, next time you see him, he's going to be just one more step ahead until it's pretty much like, I got this, and that's when it's cool. And yeah, don't give up. That's all I got to say, guys. Look, if you don't get it in a week or in a month or 6 months, as long as you're sticking with it and you have that drive, it's going to come. All right? It's going to come. It's just like you and Matt said, muscle memory, practice, and being consistent.
And if you can't pull the full wheelie, break it down into smaller little pieces. Say,
just get it into
I'm leaning to the side. Okay, yeah. I want to just work on pulling it back square. Find one little thing instead of the whole big picture. Find one little thing and focus on it. And in doing and focusing on that, the other stuff is either going to fall into place or it's going to become irrelevant. And it's just like with you, it's probably just focus on that. And what's going to happen is your right legs, you're going to be pushing more on one side. And
I just got to involve my other leg.
I'm going to be honest with everybody right now. I've fucking been nursing the knee injury all year. So all this shit that we're talking about, I concur 100%. I got to wear a knee brace. I got to ice this thing. It's a pain in the neck at work. I swerved a cone. I ran the cone over. It's on my page. Super pain face on the post.
And he still kills it.
I was able to get up and ride my bike home or back to the car. I couldn't walk for 2 days. I was able to get to work, and it's just one of those things where I won't swerve a cone. I see a cone now, and it makes my knee throb. So
let me add one more thing with this, Isaac. If you guys are out there learning and you want to wheelie and you're watching the videos on YouTube, but you're also going to rideouts, if you see a guy or a person out there riding wheelies and you're like, man, they look like they got this down.
I can do that.
I can do that. The next time you stop, go up to that person if you don't know him. Be like, hey, dude, I'm trying to learn how to wheelie too. What did you do to get to that point? You got any pointers for me real quick? Because I'm really trying to learn. Dude, I have not met one person that's like, no, I don't want you to know my tricks. I've talked to Matt.
You just go like this.
I've talked to Damon. I've talked to PCWC Eric. You name it. I go up to all these people because every person has a little bit different like technique, and they'll give you their pointers. It's not a secret. They're willing to share. Yeah. You know, so I'm just throwing that out there.
For me, and that's what happened to me. When I got in this big bike scene, I met the guys in Tahoe. I came to Sac, I rode. And when I started doing my research on what's really going on with the wheelie scene, I found Lottie Dottie. I didn't have to look any further. I'm like, I see and feel, I can emulate that. I can actually do that. I can feel it. I can see it. And that's part of the wheelie thing is you have to vision it. You have to D-blocks, these guys that do this crazy stuff, their vision for what a bike is capable of doing, it's absurd. We don't understand it. That's why it seems so amazing. But visualizing it, feeling it, being a part of it. And that's really like what my buddy Josh, it's the pulling back of the wheelie, getting the control of the bike. And sometimes I've seen him just go and go and go. And once you go a certain distance, and then the next time you beat that distance, you set a new personal goal for yourself. And I agree. Yeah. It just keeps going and going. I mean, I ride an absurd amount, so I get bored and I want to keep it fun. So I'm swerving. I've got the bike over here. I'm doing everything I can to try to stay young.
Yeah. I mean, for me, dude, I'll end it with this. For me, every wheelie is me trying to be better than the wheelie I have in my head. You know, I'm always chasing the perfect balance point. I'm always chasing that perfect flow, whatever it is that day. Some days it's a 10 crank. Some days it's all the way down the canal. It just really depends, dude. And you know, I look at it, it's almost like golf, dude. I can have the worst golf round ever, but if I hit one great drive, I'm ready for the tour.
You're coming back.
Yes, exactly.
You're coming back the next day.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you're looking for that one wheelie where you're just, and I mean, really, that's really what we're looking for is
counting your wins. You know,
yeah, that one moment when the bike is right where you want it to be. Yep. The bike is very seldomly where I want it to be. That's why you see me moving around. You see my elbows going in and out, my shoulder. I'll have my elbows in. I can't do anything else. So now I'm moving my shoulder. I'm taking all of my body weight and trying to contort it around the bike to put the bike where I feel like it should be. And, you know, a lot of times I'm in the group and I see the gaps opening like this, but there's also these gaps like in football. There's these lanes that open up. And I'm telling you, these things open up and I slide through and they close up right behind me. And there's, you know, and I hear the reactions behind me. Oh my God. You know, and I'm real good at not running into people. I've been really fortunate that I wouldn't be doing it if I was clobbering into people. But
Matt's fortunate, but let me tell you something, dude. And I've said this before. Matt's my favorite person to ride with. Dude, watching him ride, you know, like if I could let go of the bars, I'd be like, oh, Matt threads a needle, dude. I've seen him go through, have that vision of the lanes like he's talking about that I can't see. Obviously, Matt sees it, but it's like he's not going to make, he made that.
And then I'm not out of the woods. As soon as I make it through there's either a person in my way because
people are the group's changing.
Yeah, and you know, that's one of my funnest things to do is to go from the back of the pack, weave my way through. PCWC Eric he's by far my favorite wheelie dude in the pack like that. We get on each other's tail.
I've seen you take him out.
We can go side by side. He probably ran into me. He probably ran into me, bounced off. I'm pretty solid.
You're pretty big.
Yeah.
But
Matt, thank you so much, man, for doing this with us. If somebody wants to contact you and get some wheelie coaching, are you open to that or no?
Oh, I totally am. Find me at a ride out. Come and come introduce yourself. Show me where you're at with it. Like I said, the pop, the loop, the dips, the wheelie. There's phases of it. And when I talk to the people, they're always in one of the phases. A lot of the guys are in the dips. They've already gone past the loop phase and they're in the dips. And then the wheelie phase comes shortly after that. And the loops are going to happen and the dips are going to happen and all that stuff, but we're still just in pursuit of that one wheelie. That's why I got to pop so many wheelies, is because I suck so much. It takes me 100 attempts to get that one good. No, I like to get that good wheelie every time, and I'm shooting for consistency. And it feels so good to pull back one time. You don't even have to touch the brake. You're coasting, and then your legs automatically, because you're on a bike, they pick it up, and next thing you know, you're having tons of fun on bikes with your friends.
I love it, dude, and I appreciate the honesty, because you're someone that I look up to as far as like a wheelie, pro, someone that can wheelie really well. And, seeing you be able to do that and then talk about like, hey man, it's hard for me. I appreciate it, dude. I really do.
Yeah, no, thank you, Isaac. And thank you for letting me participate in this. It's just practice. The more setting goals, it's about life. It's the same stuff. Set small goals, achieve small goals. Small goals turn into bigger goals. Bigger goals turn into milestones. Right. Yep. We got the 4.
I tell people do sets and reps, man. Do 10 reps, which is like 10, count those parking stalls. Each one of those, each time you ride up down the parking lot, that's 1 rep. Do it 10 times and then take a 20-minute, just chill. Build the muscles up. So yep. Craig, any final words from you, sir?
Man, I can't say thank you to Matt enough. Thanks, Matt. One of the things I really like about what Matt brought to the table tonight was his 4 steps, dude. It's
pop.
Let's hear him again.
It's the pop,
popping it,
pop,
looping, dipping,
and
the
wheeling.
Right? I think that's the name of our video, dude.
Yeah, pop, dip, pop. Yeah, pop, dip, wheelie. Yeah, pop or a pop, loop.
Yeah,
dip. Yeah.
The loop comes first because we want that wheelie so bad that we just pull ourselves right on over backwards. And that's the thing. Is we go to this extreme. We go to this extreme. We find that happy medium. And then each person rides a wheelie to their own capabilities. Bike life is real good about letting everybody have fun at their own capacity. Everybody's cup is full when we go home. Everybody's tired. Nobody's pissed off unless their bike didn't.
Yeah, right. Man. And let me tell you this. If you guys are out there trying to wheelie and you're in the beginning stages, or say you've been at it a while and it's just that point where you're getting frustrated, don't stop. Don't be discouraged. No one's judging you.
That's when
and just keep up with it. If that's really what you want to do, man, everybody's been in that point where they had to learn. Nobody got on the bike and said, I'm going to wheelie right now, and never have done it before, and they popped it up and they can ride forever. That doesn't happen. If it does, you're a unicorn and you should be in a museum somewhere. I don't know. Just remember, frustration happens with everybody. We're all
use the frustration. It's a tool. Anger, frustration, all those things can be very useful. Fear. You don't want to fall over backwards. You don't want to dip. You don't want like an idiot when you try to ride a wheelie. So you have all these fears that you're walking through simultaneously. And, it's so much fun to see someone that's been trying to ride the wheelie get the concept of it, and then it's not a big deal no more. Then they're over there pepping up the next guy. Yo, what are you waiting for?
Exactly. So anyway, man, Isaac, thanks for doing this video, man. And Matt, again, for being here.
Thank you guys.
We had a good time. For everybody out there, thank you for joining us here at Big Bike BMX. We appreciate you. Hopefully this has enlightened you and given you that motivation to get back out there and try again. If you've had that feeling of giving up, if not, maybe you're still trying, and hearing from Matt and Isaac and myself have just reinforced that it's just something you just got to keep going with. We appreciate you. Thanks again. Please go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and comment button. Let us know what you're thinking. If you've got tips that you want to share with us, we'd love to hear what they are. And we'd also love, if you want some coaching, if you want some insider information from Matt,
any of us,
Isaac, or myself.
Any of us. And if we can't give you the answers you're looking for, we have a network with thousands of people in it now. This bike life thing is growing, and we will shoot you. We'll watch your videos and compare. We'll look at you and say, okay, you need to call Santos, or you need to call Damon, or you hit up this guy and ask him about this, or tag him in one of their videos. We want everybody to win. We don't want to leave anybody behind. And if riding wheelies is really what you want to do, you got our full support, and we're going to do everything we can, including making videos and doing one-on-one stuff.
Yeah, comment on the video. I mean, the Big Bike BMX family is pretty tight, dude. And between Craig, myself, Matt, I mean, and just the fans of the show.
Yeah,
find the answer.
Work up some comments, and we can do another little snippet on just their questions, so we can focus more in on it. You know, me, I'm more of a guy. I want to go out and ride. I want you guys to watch my videos and learn that way, and come out and ride with me. So you see it in it. It happens a lot faster than what you see on video. I use a GoPro and I pick it up great, but to come out and actually enjoy the rides with us, it's just, you got to come out and experience it for yourself. I can't wait to ride with you, Isaac. You know, you're in my phone as Isaac Irvine, BMX badass. From the time I saved it in there.
Dude, I saw it, man. That's no joke, man. BMX badass.
I am not. I tell people, like, Craig and I are just two old dudes that make home videos from our rooms, but I appreciate it, Matt. We love you. We love everybody that's out there watching these videos. We're just here to help. You know, and at the end of the day, my only goal is that you have more fun than I do on a BMX bike. Good luck with that.
Everybody have fun. It's the name of the game. We'll stop. We'll go find something else fun to do. And right now, this is the funnest thing going. Shout out Broke Boys BMX. I see you got Broke Boys BMX on your hat. Shout out KnightBikeCompany. Check them out. They got mirror polished parts. They got anodized parts. They did a Radical Rick series of stems. Broke Boys, if you want apparel, hats, Jacob's got bars. We got a lot of products in the works. I think we got sprockets coming from the Broke Boys team. Shout out SE Bikes, Todd Lyons, the SE crew. You know, I wasn't sure what shirt I wanted to wear, because wearing this shirt for me, it holds a lot of weight and it's a very powerful garment. And yeah, so I brought that along. Shout out to my team. Shout out to everybody. Isaac, Craig, ever since I saw you guys' first interview, I had to have the second one. I was like, screw that. I need in on this fun. We talk the same language from the beginning. And, you know, I just have a lot of fun shooting the shit with you guys. I don't feel like I have to hide anything. Transparency is very at the top of the priority list. And that's what makes it so much damn fun. It's just pure and honest fun.
Yeah. 100%. Well, hey, guys, thank you so much. And I'll give my little round of shout-outs. Essie, I love your bikes. JT Racing, love your clothes. Thank you for helping me, you know, get into being able to support like the bike life movement and what we like to do. Thank you so much to RideOutSupply for always being cool. KnightBikeCompany as well. Have fun out there, you guys. Have a blast. We will talk to you soon. We love you all. Ba, ba, da, ba. Ba, ba, ba.